At Five Star Bank, community is at the heart of what we do. Every day we strive to have thoughtful solutions for our customers and help our communities prosper. Honest dialogue about the issues affecting the region is vitally important to that prosperity. We are proud to be part of the conversation and hope you'll join in.
For 25 years, Dr. Parnell Lovelace has led the Center of Praise Ministries in Sacramento. The bishop, as he is affectionately called, founded the ministry and grew it from a startup church to a congregation of more than 3,500 members. In the coming months, Dr. Lovelace will step down in a planned transition of leadership. Dr. Lovelace is in the midst of a very intentional, very public process of handing over the reins of the institution he founded. He joins us in partnership with the American Leadership Forum to share his thoughts on leadership transition, something all businesses and institutions face. Dr. Lovelace, years ago, the business theorist Peter Drucker said, "Succession has always been the ultimate test of any top management and the ultimate test of any institution." How do you react to that?
I totally agree with the statement. It is the ultimate test. It is that which determines the future of the institution or the organization. And I think that going through my current process, it's making me realize it's not an easy process, but that which has to be embraced by any organization that wants to be viable in the future.
So many family businesses, so many institutions, whether they're public or private, fail because they mishandle the transition of leadership. What do you think causes those failures?
I would have to say the failure of understanding it takes a plan, that this is not something that can just be thought of. It's not anything that can be put aside as maybe just a common casual discussion. It takes a lot of hard work, and I think that many people underestimate the work that it takes to go into setting a written and purposeful succession plan that is followed through from beginning until end.
Why are you stepping down now?
Good question. I've had suggestions that possibly I'm stepping down because something might be wrong. There's those who've observed it and said, well, it seems like everything's going so well. Why would you want to step down now? And I often reply, why would I want to step down when everything is falling apart? I think that for me personally, it's a desire to see our congregation and the organization of Center of Praise thrive beyond myself. I've often thought that success without a successor really is failure. If I have not positioned and postured myself along with those who I influence into a place of opening our hearts and our minds and our vision towards the future, then in essence the vision stops with me. And so I've purposely sought to move in a direction that will lead our congregation and lead our organization into an intentional plan, not something that we have to put together and think about and maybe dream that one day it might happen. I understand that either one day I will leave by either death or I will leave by not being able to continue to lead the congregation and lead the organization. There may even be a need for me to leave mainly because there's a need for a vibrant leader to be in place. I'd like to do that on a voluntary basis and something that it's on my terms versus on the terms of the inevitable that can take place with anyone.
Well, you know, it reminds me of one of my favorite heroes of my childhood, Muhammad Ali, who won the heavyweight championship 3 times. And he said he was going to retire after he won the 3rd championship. But when he won for the 3rd time, he just couldn't get off the stage.
Yeah.
And there's a tendency among leaders that you know, you've got one more championship in you. How hard is it to wrestle with when you're on top and you've taken this institution from a founding to this hugely influential and meaningful organization that serves thousands of people? How hard is it to step off the stage when you're still winning championships?
On one hand, it's very difficult because my success, in essence, works against me. My success.
Explain what you mean by that.
My success in being able to know that when I walk into the office, or when I walk into the pulpit, or when I walk into anything that's representing our organization, I know how to make things work. I know how to see things happen. People are influenced by it. They respond to that. And I feed off of that. I feed off of the success. I feed off of the positive response. It's a reinforcement for me. Then to think about a succession plan and stepping off that stage, it is emotional. It helps me on one hand to realize that I need to humble myself, but on the other hand, I'm driven to do what I do every day. When I move out into all of the activities that I have in a given day, I'm driven by it. I love it. As I've told others recently, I could do what I've done for the last 25 years. I could do that for another 50 years and be extremely happy. But it will not sustain the organization. The organization will have, in essence, a leader, myself, if I were to stay, that ultimately it could plateau. It could move into a place that we only reach a certain level of our success because we're not bringing in the vibrant leadership that is so important for an organization. I started pastoring Center of Praise when I was 27 years old. So I had an energy that I frankly don't carry as much now.
You could have fooled me.
I mean, I was excited and still am excited, but I noticed that my pace is different now. I lead differently now. I don't carry the same vitality of organizational and leading as I did as a 27-year-old. I came straight out of the gate out of college, so I was ready to hit the pavement running. But now I lead from more of a standpoint of thinking through and possibly observing how do I mentor others so that they can lead and do well. I enjoy that. That's what excites me now more than anything, is leading others to lead. And I think that's what's helping me to embrace succession as an intentional model for
You talk about where you lead from, and as you're going through this transition,
yes,
a lot of people are watching you, because many times transitions aren't done well in any sector of society. It's the whole business courses at MBA schools are taught on this. What are you mindful of as you are going through this journey and you know that there are thousands of eyes that you can't see but are seeing you?
There are two things that I would have to say drive me and give me focus through this. One is certainly my faith. I am adamant that faith is that which is the foundation for me. My belief that there is God who guides me and leads me in this process. Two passages that stand out to me. One is found in Joshua 1:8, that I would keep God's word in my mouth and meditate upon it day and night, and that I would seek to observe all that it says to do, and that my way is prosperous and I will have good success. That's the foundation for me. It is a value that I hold dearly. Secondly, there's a passage in Psalm 37:23 that says the steps of a strengthened person is ordered by God, and they delight in their way. I'm wanting to be prosperous in my ways. I'm wanting to be successful in my ways. I'm wanting to also allow myself to be an encouragement to others, that they would also have a delightful way. So I say that to say that it leads me to a firm foundation of values. I think of leadership in the standpoint of mentoring and modeling towards others. that others would follow me. We have been very intentional with our succession plan of our organization. I have drawn from resources that talk and speak of what they see succession plan being. For me, it has to be purposeful. Secondly, there has to be the competence that takes place in observing the larger pool of resources of people beyond myself.
What type of resources have you been drawing on as you've constructed this transition process?
Looking at the pool of leadership that is rich in our community, the pool of leadership that is rich in regards to our organization.
Now, you've used ALF as
Yes.
well as
Yes.
an organization to draw from. And how's that experience?
That experience has actually been the backdrop that has caused me to look out beyond myself. You know, when I think of leadership, I think of new beginnings, constant new beginnings, and how do I observe moving from new beginnings to transitions to the ending point? And for me, identifying that which is new, what are the new initiatives, objectives, and goals? What are the things that I see for the organization and see for my own life? And then weighing that out, determining what, in essence, are the losses. What are the things I have to let go of? How do I let go? And in letting go, how do I move to a place of seeing what are my fears? What are my worst fears? And how do I move through this process of transition healthy? Not in a way that is bitter, not in a way that is frustrated, but in a way that people can look and see my life and see the organization and say, it was difficult for them, it was emotional for them, but it was healthy. It was a good thing. The outcome of it is good.
What do you think you have to let go of as you make this transition?
I have to let go of a part of my ego that loves to see the details of what I bring to the table, manifest, and work well in the lives of people, and having a sense of, frankly, control. When people look at me in any setting within our organization, I'm the decision maker.
You're the decider.
I'm the one who decides.
Right.
I'm the one who sets the pace.
Mm-hmm.
I set the course and the momentum of the organization. That feels good to me. That's something I enjoy doing. However, I know that there are others who carry that same passion and that same heart. And it really does not serve us well for me to stifle them or to ignore them and to hold a place that I, again, could do well, but if I don't bring these folks up, then we are the ones who suffer as a result of that.
Isn't it kind of humbling when one considers that an organization where you are the decider,
Yes.
and that it can continue without you being the decider, and that there may be others that can do it? And I ask you the question because one of my old mentors always used to remind me that no one is irreplaceable. But there is a very human tendency to think that the very special thing that we bring is the only special thing that can be brought.
Well, and Scott, I would have to believe and suggest that what makes it difficult, either for myself or for others who would take the course of embracing intentional succession, is that what makes it difficult is only seeing our value attached to what we do.
Excellent.
If my value is only what I do versus who I am, then I really, in essence, limit myself. And by virtue of that, I have limited the organization.
Is that more of a male characteristic in male leaders than female leaders?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I've seen it in both.
Okay.
I've seen it in both. But I can say for me, for sure, have often attached what I do as, in essence, being what brings me value. And I think that's what makes it difficult for so many leaders, is that if we're not able to distinguish between what we do and who we are,
Right.
then it allows us, and it puts us in a place that we compromise ourselves and we compromise the organization ultimately.
Let me ask you, as much as this affects you and the congregation of your church, and let's depersonalize it and make it any institution whatsoever, the president and CEO of some major corporation like Google or IBM or something like that, there's what happens to the individual, but also many times the people within sort of the orbit of that individual, the friends, the family and others who also share in sort of the experience that that leader has been walking through. When that leader disconnects, I've heard multiple things, because there's also, while they were not directly in the position, they also played a role in that success, and they're stepping away as well.
Yes, yes. In many instances, the spouse, in many instances, the immediate family or those who are attached to some form of leadership within the organization, but again, they may not be, they may be somewhat withdrawn. I think because the leader, in essence, becomes the focal point.
Sort of like the sun in the solar system.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And everything seemingly evolves around that individual and that person. So you remove that individual, that person removes themselves, it impacts the whole system. We're all part of some type of system that of connection with one another. And as a result of that, it does play out at times. It can be challenging. That's why I really propose that within a detailed succession plan, I call them the stakeholders, have to be brought in early into the plan. That feedback and discussion has to be brought into the whole course of a succession plan, because without that, it will pop up, it will come up, it will show itself. But rather than wait for it to show itself in the process of doing the assessment and the process of doing the mentoring and the coaching of the individual who is the successor, you bring those folks in early and have those discussions. You talk with your spouse, you talk with your family, you talk with your friends.
Because their life is going to change as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and it does. In the context of the church, particularly in the African American context, the pastor's wife is considered to be the first lady.
Right.
And so there is a change of status for her. And my wife and I have had to have that conversation. What will things look like when we transition, when we make this move?
Do you think leaders think enough about, in general, the impact on spouses, family members, the other stakeholders, as you describe them, as they're confronting their own transition plans?
My experience from conversation has been that often we don't. We often, again, it gets back to that ego, that strong leadership.
It's all about me.
It's all about me. And as a result of that, these hard conversations are not held. And so, and again, they will present themselves.
Now, you don't use the word retirement. You use the word transition.
Okay.
Give us the distinction between the two in your own journey.
Well, to retire, in my thought, would be I would step away from doing anything, that I would not be involved. And for me, that's just not an option. I have invested too much into my life through my education, through my involvement in the community. So I have chosen to use the word that I'm stepping down versus retiring. I will still be active in our congregation. I will still be attending the church, but not in the capacity as the senior leader. And again, there are some specific things that I'm having to do in order to do that, because typically a person who would step down, probably the most healthy thing is just to walk away and to leave.
That's what Colin Powell used to say, that, you know, when a general turns over his base post to another general, he walks up to the other general, he gives a salute, he marches away, and he never returns to the post.
Right. There's an aspect of what I will do in this transition that will look like that.
Describe that for us.
For me, I will not retain the title bishop. I will certainly, when I attend the services, I will not sit with the other pastors and ministers. I'll sit in the audience. I will defer all of the discussions and decisions that need to be made directly to our senior leader and to his staff. So in that sense, I will not have that type of influence of, again, that I carry now. That to me is the best and the most healthy approach. Now, I'm staying there at the church for the sake, because I'm the founding pastor, I'm staying there to encourage a younger pastor who, as I've told him, I will not malign him, but rather I will be his private confidant and a public fan. I will advocate for him. My strength for this particular leader who will be my successor will be the role of advocacy, supporting him, directing people who are generally very relational to their pastor, relational to the key leader of the church, of the organization, but directing them to now a younger leader who carries with him, his own self a great gifting and ability to lead. But as it has been suggested to me, the first year and a half, without that advocacy, it will be very difficult for him.
Incidentally, tell us about this new pastor. Who is this person?
The gentleman's name is Pastor Joseph Cisak, and wonderful young man, 38 years old, and has a lovely wife, Victoria. He's been with us for 3.5 years. That was part of the agreement. I asked him to come along and walk alongside me, and I said, give me 2.5 to 3 years, and I would purposely step aside after 2.5 or 3 years of mentoring him in this role, and I would, in essence, embrace him as my leader, as my pastor.
And tell us about, after this transition takes place, what is Dr. Parnell Lovelace's life going to be like?
I've got things to do. I've got some things to do. I will not just sit down. I will, as I stated, continue at the church. I will assist them with development and funding. I have a passion to see them be able to move forward with some of the economics of the church and some of the programs that we have there, being able to make sure that they're well funded and supplied. But also, I will take advantage of going back into the classroom and working as a teacher, as a professor, particularly at William Jessup University. They've asked me to go and help start a social work program there, which was part of my undergraduate.
Right, you have a educational background in social work.
I have a bachelor's degree and a master's there. In essence, I'm recreating myself. I'm taking this opportunity to place value in who I am versus the role that I do. And so I'll go back and capture what I've done in the social work background and present it in the classroom, and that's another form of mentoring.
And what do you hope, in the culmination of all of this process, what do you hope that people take away from it as they think about their own journey? Myself as a CEO, other CEOs, other leaders of other institutions, what do you hope we learn from watching your experience?
Scott, I hope it models something that is so desperately needed among leaders. Frankly, I've had no mentoring in this role as far as a succession plan. I've never seen it. So I have nothing I can fall back on. I've had to rely upon really walking this thing out day by day. So I'm hoping to model something that is viable, that is something that can be reproduced in the lives of others. I often think of the song, if I can help somebody, then my living shall not be in vain. I've taken it a step further. If I can help somebody, then my living will not be in vain. So I'm hoping that I can journal this experience and note this experience, and hopefully have people ask me the hard questions of what does it take to move an organization to the next place.
It raises for me one of the struggles that leaders have is knowing, again, where we started in this conversation, what's the right time? Do you have any advice for leaders that are contemplating that question?
The fact that the question is being asked, if one is asking, when is the right time, then it means, in essence, you're moving close to the right time. That the fact that we're thinking about it, that was a question I asked myself, what would be the right time? And I knew then I needed to begin the process of putting together a written plan, somewhat of a contractual agreement, both with the organization that I serve and with the person who ultimately would be my successor. So to give response to that, if one is thinking about that and asking that question, if that's going on in your mind, it's the right time.
And I think that we're going to leave it there because this is our time. And that's our show. Thanks to our guest and thanks to you for watching Studio Sacramento. I'm Scott Syfax. See you next time right here on KVIE.
At Five Star Bank, community is at the heart of what we do. Every day we strive to have thoughtful solutions for our customers and help our communities prosper. Honest dialogue about the issues affecting the region is vitally important to that prosperity. We are proud to be part of the conversation and hope you'll join in.
All episodes of Studio Sacramento, along with other KVIE programs, are available to watch online at kvie.org/video.